just throwing money at you. It's like another job. First of all, being a Division I athlete in a major sport and a student, that's like two jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And now you add NIL on top of it. It showed me that's another job.
Mm-hmm.
So these kids are earning that money.
So, yes, let me go back up to when you were saying it's a small percentage of the population. Yes. However, the visibility of those people is far and wide.
Yeah.
Like they are national names.
We love college athletes.
So let
or
me
college athletics. We love them.
You are all the way go get your money. And I was
Yes.
very, very hesitant, like, hold on. This is inequitable. Because even amongst those who get NIL deals, the money is funny. It's not the
Right.
same. It is not the same. Welcome. This is For Better and Worth,
the podcast where we don't believe you have to sacrifice your relationship while you grow and build your net worth.
We are your hosts.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Ericka Young. And we're so glad you're joining us today.
All right, y'all. Let's get into it. Hey, babe. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you today?
I'm doing great.
Awesome. I feel
Step up to the mic. You always come, hey, babe, how you doing?
You know what? You told me I'm loud.
Well, I don't think that's going to change, okay? You are loud, and you're going to continue to be loud.
You right.
But you know what? I love and accept you as you are. But it's just funny. Sometimes you're like, hey, babe, how are you?
I mean, I'm just chilled right now. Now you about to get me amped up. So what you want? Which version do you need today?
Let's meet in the middle.
Oh,
let's
Lord.
meet somewhere in the middle.
For now, it's going to change.
It's all good.
I have been wanting to talk about this for some months now.
You have, and listen, people, I'll be honest, we I don't know if we see it completely the same, and I don't know if I was excited to talk about this. But...
Tell me more. Wow. Okay, so let's back up. So we watched a documentary.
Well, before we even go there.
What?
We did an episode in the past. For anybody who's watching on YouTube at For Better and Worth, or anybody who's listening, we did an episode in the past talking about NIL and how that really is a game changer for college kids. And so, we just had a discussion about it because I think it's an interesting time for college athletes and for, parents if you have a college athlete. And so now pick up from there. We watched
a documentary, The Money Game, and
on
Netflix, and I was so intrigued because it went into the lives of actual athletes at LSU who have NIL deals, and I was grateful for real life stories of how this is affecting them in the here and now versus conceptually, because I feel like my vantage point was conceptually in that previous episode, and I was very interested. We also have a friend whose son goes to LSU. Like there was interest.
A connection. There was a tie.
Absolute interest, and I love documentaries. Like that's kind of a thing for me. So when I started watching, I was like, "Babe, you got to watch this documentary," and it was so interesting because the students were candid.
Mm-hmm.
And they walked through a full year of the students and what it looked like for them to not just be student athletes, but what their life looks like as they are exploring, either trying to pursue or how they manage NIL deals and what it does to their life as a student. And I have much appreciation for having watched it. So that gave me a little bit more context. So I think that in the beginning we disagreed.
Well, let's be honest. We're talking about such a small segment of the population to begin with.
Student athletes.
Like Division I student athletes to begin with.
Okay.
And then athletes that are getting NIL money. It's like a smaller percentage because we know it's not all equal. And I've always been of the position like, get your bread, get your money, because these universities make tens of millions of dollars. And I understand kids get scholarships. But I think for people who are listening, to me, this is a prime example of what we as parents, because we talk about relationships, we talk about money, and we look at our experience. And I know as parents, you try to guide and direct your children.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I think about this, I think it's applicable to a lot of people out there, whether your child has NIL or not. We may be talking about NIL specific, but I think some of the principles apply to just parenthood in a sense,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm thinking of it like we have friends and they have a son who is a Division I football player, and he's getting NIL money.
Mm-hmm.
And I know they have to think about how they advise him
Mm-hmm.
and how he should spend the money. And I think the documentary was just another way to see the reality of what those demands are, because people hear, oh, NIL, you a big time athlete, they're just throwing money at you. It's like another job. First of all, being a Division I athlete in a major sport and a student, that's like two jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And now you add NIL on top of it. It showed me that's another job.
Mm-hmm.
So these kids are earning that money.
So, yes, let me go back up to when you were saying it's a small percentage of the population. Yes. However, the visibility of those people is far and wide.
Yeah.
Like they are national names.
We love college athletes.
So let
or
me
college athletics. We love them.
You are all the way go get your money. And I was
Yes.
very, very hesitant, like, hold on. This is inequitable. Because even amongst those who get NIL deals, the money is funny. It's not the
Right.
same.
It's-
It is
yeah,
not
it's
the same.
not.
And so I'm like, okay, the money is funny. Hold on, I'm cautious because do these kids know what they're doing with the money? Or do they
Right.
have parents who can really help them? Because of the inequities, other students are seeing this, and is that affecting the performance of the game? You know what I mean? Like, so I thought
I think you were getting into some of the
weeds.
psychology and some.
I
like,
was
you
getting into the
the
weeds.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
okay, fair enough. But let me say that is where my hesitation was in the very beginning. And this is why I appreciated the documentary, is because it gave me their real life perspective. And while, yes, we do have a friend, we got family, family friends that have, these checks beginning to come in, that makes me think of the responsibility, because I don't have control over these kids getting it or not getting it. You can't. And as a matter of fact, if it was my kid, I'd be like, probably go get your money too.
right.
But our kids live in a house where we're talking to them about money. We actually know how to help them to manage that, and not everybody has it. And by and large, I would gather to say that a lot of these athletes probably don't have folks in their lives who actually can really help them strategically.
I really like. I liken this and make it applicable to everybody, because in that particular documentary, it followed Jaden Daniels, who was the quarterback at LSU on the football team, and now he plays for the Washington Commanders. And I saw him as a player, and his mom and his family, how they were guiding and directing him. And while he was getting the NIL, he was focused on the big check.
Oh, he was ready.
Yeah, he was focused on the league. And I felt like it was so good, like, to see how even being a top tier, top shelf, first round draft pick like that, he didn't get his eye off the prize.
Oh, yeah.
And his parents helped guide him and keep him focused on the main thing. Like, NIL, that was cool, and he was getting money, but like he wasn't even one of the top paid athletes at LSU. But I love that the parents helped keep him focused on the main thing. They made the main thing the main thing.
I love that as well. And I also say that the opposite could be true for a lot of athletes. When you start getting that kind of money, and especially when you don't come from that kind of money, there's going to be money grabs happening all around. People are going to be trying to get you, influence you, and especially young people. They might be great, amazing athletically, but they still not 100. Like, let's be
They're
clear,
learning.
they need guidance.
They're
They
learning.
need guidance, and so we don't want them to be gullible and fall for the okie doke when somebody is like, "Yeah, I need this, and can you do this?" and da da da. Because we know that this happens in the league where families drain on the
Right.
wealth.
One person made it, so now we all made it.
Yeah, and so
We made it.
so I'm glad that that's not, his story. But I also was interested because, okay, so I mean, I'm gonna just, I love Athleta, and so that's one of my places that I like to go shop, and Olivia Dunn had not, she doesn't have a deal with Athleta. It was with what is the other one?
Viore.
Viore. And I didn't know who she was when I was watching these commercials. I was like, like, okay, whatever. I watched this documentary. I was like, oh my God, that is Olivia Dunn who did that commercial. And a whole commercial.
Right.
And
she got like major endorsements.
She got major, and I was so now I'm putting the pieces together, and I'm like, wow, she is a student athlete out here on a major commercial.
I mean, they said the girl was making like $9 million in NIL. Yes. She is like the highest paid NIL athlete in the country.
Yep.
Ahead of these football players and all these other people, and she's a gymnast. And I know I have my theories behind it, but I won't get into those.
I want to hear. Say more.
I mean, she's a pretty young lady, and they can market her in a number of ways to a number of different people. So I think she could have just been like a model that got deals. And by the way, she was an athlete. Okay. She happened to be a gymnast that was an athlete, and they could leverage all of her, her athletic skills, her look, and all of that for marketing purposes. So that's why I think she got, bigger deals.
Olivia Dunn is a pretty white blonde. Okay. And she is an excellent athlete. And it's so funny. I talked to our daughter and Olivia. I talked to Olivia about Olivia. And she said, Olivia Dunn captured the young people. Males.
Yeah, that's true.
In particular. And unfortunately,
a consequence of that attention.
Thank you. Okay, so wait, there's two things. One is that she captured the young folks, males in particular, and the unfortunate thing that I was going to say is I feel like that could have been, they didn't exactly say it, but I mean, I think that she was viewed as like a sex symbol, and that bothered me, of course, as a parent, because I got a kid your age, right. And then the other part of it is she got negative attention because these young boys, not even just young boys, but she got folks who started stalking her and all the things, and she came to play. She came to express through gymnastics. Yeah. And that's
kind of why I said, she could have been a model.
Sure.
Because like even, people who are famous and do a number of different things, they get similar types of attention. Mm-hmm. And her being a gymnast at LSU and being eligible for NIL, I think it just opened up some of the other doors because she had an online presence already. So I think she had been curating that presence online, and then as a athlete, it just already had her an established platform. So I'm thinking of it from a business perspective. And from a business perspective, I see somebody who already has a curated following and they are a top athlete. We can definitely market that in a way for the business purpose. So,
and that's why NIL works, right? Yeah. Because what it is that you're representing somebody, this brand, this university, whatever it is, and you are using the fact that you are popular, you are a great athlete, you are seen, you are visible, and for the benefit of someone else, therefore you get paid for it. So that is, yes, I absolutely see that.
I think let's pull back. Let's pull the cart back and get the horse out. I think we got cart before horse a little bit. Because
where?
I just think about it like as a parent. Like I played football in college. I mean, I wasn't a top tier athlete like that, and it was not available to us at the time when I was in college. And I think about like as a parent, how we want to, like in our relationship, we're working on our relationship to continue to grow, but a part of our relationship is being parents to guide our children. Mm-hmm. And I even think about our children as they went to college and, very blessed, very fortunate they received scholarships. And we had to give them guidance around how they did things and how they moved, because they were getting, additional funds returned back to them from scholarships. And we had to, have them budget, because they wanted to live off campus. You had to pay your rent, and all that stuff is important. And so when I think about these kids, I think it's great because it allows them to be in college while they're pursuing, a degree for a career. It also helps them, pursue this career that it could turn into something bigger, and they could continue to make money off of it. They can make money off of it now.
As a professional athlete.
Right. They can make money as an amateur athlete, and then they could continue to do that. Like, let's say Olivia Dunn was good enough to go to the Olympics, to make the Olympic team and get endorsements. This is like the precursor.
Sure.
Just like Jaden Daniels was a top football player, and he's made that transition to the next level with the NFL, and now he's got the big payday, and he's getting endorsements and things there. But I think the thing I want people to think about as they listen to this, a lot of us don't have NIL athletes in our families, but you may have somebody on the peripheries that you may touch. But we all have children, or a lot of us have children that we will be leading and guiding in decision making. And I think there's opportunities that come across, and as parents, we have to be able to help them understand how to navigate. And that's where I think you and I began to align, because it's like, okay, you come into all this money. It's not time to go out buying, bust down diamond necklaces and, Hellcat chargers, and, all this stuff that is trappings of wealth.
Yeah, I mean,
especially for people in the African American community, a lot of times it's the trappings of wealth. Like, you can look like you have money, but if you're making real money, you need to know how to manage that real money and turn that into long money.
So let's talk about this. So as a parent, it is our responsibility to help guide our kids. That is what a parent does. And I think that a lot of parents also, in this case, would go into uncharted waters with their kid because, this is new for everybody.
Yeah.
But the principles still remain the same. So I think a lot of parents don't talk to their kids about money because of their own insecurities about money. A lot of parents,
probably a lot of truth to that,
feel like they didn't have it all together, or they're in debt, or they're trying
they
to
don't
figure
feel
it out.
adequately informed to lead and guide them.
So then they can project that on their children, and the kids miss out on valuable lessons. I think it is perfectly reasonable and fine to say, I don't really have all the answers, but let me go get an expert, or let me learn myself while we're on this journey together, or let me go ask a friend. You know what I mean? Phone a friend. Let me figure. You know what I mean? Or build community. Let's talk to some other parents whose kids get an NIL deal. How y'all navigating this? That kind of stuff. Because the other thing is, not all universities, institutions will offer the help and assistance that I think is probably needed, even if their NIL deal is just a couple $1,000s a month. Now, that don't sound like a lot, but when we talk about Olivia Dunn making $9 million in a year, that's insane.
Look,
but
you offer me a couple thousand extra a month, I'm not turning it down.
No, of course not. But what I'm saying is, a lot of times they'll just whittle it away, and I think the problem with that mentality that, oh, this is just free money, is one, this big hairy thing in the front, and I think we should talk about this, is you gonna get taxed. Hello, this is income.
Yeah.
This is income.
That's true.
And when you have not had a job, because our friend's son hasn't had a job until now, he's getting these NIL deals. And that's probably pretty common. Our daughter had a little job where she made probably in a year a couple $1,000s, but if you're making a couple thousand a month, or if you're making 10,000 in a month, like, that's big money. You could eventually be making.
You better
Olivia
be thinking
Dunn
about
some chick
quarterly taxes.
She is most definitely making more money than her parents, right? Yeah. And so this is a brand to protect, but it is also a business because they're employing people. Olivia Dunn had her sister helping her, and and so you're employing people. You got taxes, baby. So I need you to let me just say what I think I need to say. Set aside 25% of your money into a savings account so you are ready for tax day, because we do not want you to be caught messing around and not having the money, because they're going to give you a 1099 at the end of the year, and you better be ready.
So here's what I hear you saying. Because, just in conversations that we had about, we talk about so many different things that this is just one of the things that we happen to touch on. And you get passionate about making sure that people don't get, kind of caught with the pants down. So like when the tax man comes, the tax man wants his money.
Because Olivia's done her taxes on $9 million. Let's
It's
be clear.
millions.
Oh, she owed the government $3-4 million
Millions.
So don't live.
Right. Like
at
you're
that
making
level.
$9 million.
No, I mean that's
Live like you're making $4 million.
it's extreme. Let's just be clear. It's extreme. But okay, so
I'm just laughing like live on $4 million.
our friend of the family got a check that was like 30 or 35, I think, thousand. And immediately I was like, oh, I hope mama is putting away a portion of that for taxes. Oh, I hope that's what's happening. And I don't know his mom or his parents like that, but I really hope
Right.
because it's exciting to get that kind of money. And
it's definitely affirming, of your athletic prowess when you get checks like that. But I think the whole point in this episode, which to me, mentally, I made it bigger than just NIL, because I think this is about guidance from a parental perspective. Mm-hmm. And I think I appreciate what you said was, as a parent, if you feel insufficient to provide the appropriate guidance, go and seek the help. I appreciated you saying that. Like, go get people involved that can help you and your child make good decisions, because I want to see people win. You know how people always say, I'm happy for you, but they really hating.
I hope they not hating, but whatever.
Look, I hope not either, but I'm really happy to see some of these kids who may never make it to the league or to the next level in whatever career they're in, but they may be in a position to earn some significant funds right now, because I'm all about, I love to see kids, if they're going through college, one, come out of college with no debt. And two, if you can come out of college, enjoy your experience over your 4 years or over your time, but then come out with a built-in emergency fund. And if you're going into a career and you don't have any debt, and you got $20, $30, $40, $50,000 that you've saved from being an athlete, I'm like, look, you setting out on good ground. So I get excited about the potential that this can create for these kids, not just in the moment, but long term.
So I want to share what we did with our daughter. We didn't have a student athlete. She, however, got a full ride scholarship to college. She's still in college, and and her first year of making a decent amount of money for her summer internship, in addition to having money left over from her scholarship, there are two major
which she earned.
There are two major things that we had her do.
Yes.
Now, she had taxes taken out of her check when she was an intern. So that part was taken care of. So first things first, the truth of the matter, actually it's a few things, but the truth of the matter is taxes, they come off the top of the gross amount. Now, because she was an employee, she got those dollars set aside.
That was already taken care of.
Right? Yep. So that's number one. So that's why a student athlete needs to set aside those dollars, because they don't have a paycheck that is actually having the taxes taken out. So you actually have to be responsible with that too.
1099 employment.
Our baby girl her mind was focused on being a tither. And so she was calculating. So technically what she did was she waited to the end of the summer and she was like, how much is my tithe? And that's what she wanted to do.
One big tithe.
Right. And so she wanted to give one big tithe. And it's interesting because I think that for her, there was value in seeing how much she actually earned and what that meant to be a giver at that level. And then the other two financial things are, we had her.
Well, I think we told them that I specifically said, if there was one thing I could do differently, I would have gone back and I would have started a Roth IRA much earlier than when we started our Roths. And so I advised them that whenever you're able and you can, we should start a Roth.
Yeah.
So that was the first thing that she did, was start a Roth. And based on what she earned for the year, then she was able to contribute a percentage and then, pick up from there.
So, well, because she didn't have a 401k, her maximum to be able to put into a Roth is $2,000 for the year. So for a student athlete, let's be honest, that ain't a whole lot of money. Like, really, that ain't a whole. But when you think about it, again, we would rather have started our Roths when we were 20 or 22. College. Yes, we would have did that. And so I really wanted her to have that opportunity. So we had her start a Roth IRA and to max that out. Secondly, in terms of the financial part of how she manages her money, it was get into a high yield savings account so that her whatever, again, we allow her to determine how much this was, how much she wants to put into her high yield savings. So
she's technically an adult, so
she put some money in there, and she wants to put more in there. She's trying to figure out what that is because she still has one more year of college, and so that was the format. And so, in my opinion, student athletes, if I were advising them, and I'm not a financial advisor, so I can't help people invest.
This is we talking about life advice.
It is. I mean, and it translates. But so set money aside for taxes. If you are, committed to being a tither, make sure that you have that set aside as well, or do it immediately. And then the next thing is invest for your future. So a Roth IRA or whatever.
Create savings.
And then an emergency fund that is eventually we'll figure out what that is or help her to understand what that is. But we did
how much that needs to be
for our oldest. We talked to her about what her emergency fund needs to stay, like the minimum she needs to have in her emergency fund. And so those are some of the things. And I think for a student athlete, sure, they can invest more. And I think they should invest more than the $2,000. You could just have a brokerage account. You don't have to it's not a retirement vehicle. You could just put it into an account where it's actually invested, so you get 7, 8, 9, 10% per year.
Yeah,
that's where that money should go.
That's why I think this is, for me, it's a much broader and bigger issue. NIL, and even being an athlete in general, it puts you in a slightly different position than, the regular student on a campus, because you don't have tuition. You got
sometimes now, because they did have profile somebody on there who actually still was paying for college and ended up being good enough to get some actual brand deals.
That's because that he wasn't a scholarship athlete.
I know, but I'm just saying it can happen.
It can, but he was still an athlete.
Absolutely.
So it's still different, because that's the minority, not the majority. I'm saying that's why this
I don't know. Do we know?
I think so, because if you go on the campus, it's a handful of athletes.
Oh, you're just talking about athletes in general.
Yeah, I'm saying.
I was just saying, like, if for instance, if a student is a
you're talking about within athletics.
If they don't have a scholarship, full scholarship or a partial scholarship, that their NIL deals needs to be to pay that the debt or the
and I'm saying
tuition.
I'm saying in general, to me, like somebody listening may be like, I don't care about NIL. This don't matter to me, but I think it can still matter to anybody. Because this is really about how you help guide these young people, because there is not enough guidance available along the way sometimes, because NIL is just a whole nother complexity that has been thrown in here that kids and parents have to be aware of and they have to be mindful of. But I think it's a worthy conversation. It definitely, it's a robust conversation that we're having right now.
I just want anybody who comes into any type of big time money or more money than they're used to, I want them to be wise. I just want them to be wise with it. That's all. And I want to make sure that they're using it for their future and not wasting it all on today. You can enjoy as well, but I do think that it is important to prioritize the most important things and the future prior to the spending of the looking good and all the things today.
I think a good practice is always to just pause before you decide to do anything. And I know that's a practice that we still have in place for ourselves. Before we make any big purchase, we actually pause and we will sleep on it. We might ponder over it for a little bit, and then we'll make a decision, because we've had time to remove ourselves from the emotion sometimes that's attached with making purchases. And, if you're a college kid and you got money and you like on campus, you want to be doing what I'm thinking of myself as today age college athlete that had NIL. I want to be out.
You want to flex.
I want to be outside.
So that brings up another thing. Is I think it adds complexity to what being on campus, being a student, getting a degree. Because one of the biggest things that we said to our girls is, I don't care about nothing else. You
Get
need
that
to
degree.
come out. You need to
Get
do
that
two
degree.
things. Keep your scholarship. Don't
And
do
get your
anything
degree.
stupid. Keep your scholarship and get that degree.
That's right.
Everything else is secondary. And I think NIL,
As long as you keep the first thing first, you good with me.
but I think that NIL deals are an interruption to that, because it's a commitment, a business, a job, or what have you. They have things to do. And you might think, oh, I just got to make a post, blah, 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 blah. But actually, there's
That's work.
There's more to
That's
it.
work.
I actually did a recording, basically did a little post for a company, and they had a specific script that I needed to read, and it took me an hour to do a minute. And I was like, this is crazy. I ain't doing this again. I don't need this kind of hassle in my life.
I had to do that for work. And it took like 15 takes to get a 2-minute clip.
Exactly. And so I'm like, it's work, and it's your reputation. And for a young person who is looking to get a good degree, it can be stressful. And so I think part of our guidance as parents, or the community or the tribe that are around these students, we need to ensure that they actually have the support necessary in order to, help them in these moments, because it is a lot of weight for these kids, in my opinion. And they're trying, again, I just come back to, they're getting a degree. That is the main thing.
Well, let's get to make it worth it. So,
are you saying I'm doing too much?
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I think we're saying the same thing in different ways, but I think we still see it slightly different.
I think what you think is super important, I think is less important.
And what you think is super important, I think is less important.
Exactly. And that's
they
okay.
both could be important.
And this is why, one, if we did have a student athlete, there would be a decent balance.
Right, because we'd be looking at things in their totality.
Yes.
Because I'd be looking at things from one perspective, and you might be looking at them from a different perspective. Which is why
this is a good episode, because our perspectives bring to me like the entire picture, not just one viewpoint. And that's why I think that the Money Game was good.
I think it was good. I think
that's why it was good. It helped me open my eyes.
It shed some light on some things, and as we talk about, like, my make it worth it is parents that are out there with college age students, think about the totality of where they're going, what the destination is, as we give them advice to navigate. And I think that's what this all comes down to. If you have a kid that's on scholarship, if you have a kid that got academic scholarships, I just think it's important to give them good advice as they're setting the base and the foundation for their future. So I would say, my make it worth it is like, look at the big picture and focus on what's really going to be the things to help set the solid foundation, and get your kids thinking about that. And as a parent, if you don't feel, you are sufficient with the knowledge base you have, go and get some help to set those bases. And it may be something that can help you, get on the track if you feel like you're off track. So I think, like I always say, make the main thing the main thing. And there's so many things that can take you away from the main thing. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of my make it worth it. What about you?
I want to say two things. One is that the Money Game helped me enhance my perspective, and that I have much more respect for these student athletes and what it is that they face in the NIL space, and how we're still early in that part of the journey, but I have much respect for these students, these kids who are out here who are, one, talented, and two, now being able to get paid for it. That I have much respect for, whereas I diminished it more than I think I ought to have previously. So now it's just a better awareness. That's one thing. Two, my make it worth it is it's okay to get help and get help for our kids, give help to our kids, guide them. Like, get a tax person to help you, get a financial advisor to help you, get, somebody who knows what their, legal person to look over documents. I just think it's okay to not have the answers as a parent. It is absolutely okay to not have the answers as a parent and also as a human, because some of these things are new to us. It's a whole new world. And whether your kid is an athlete or not, all of these principles still apply for college bound children and adulting, helping them to launch off and to fly the coop and all of that. And so I just
see how our make it worth is they came into alignment.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I just think that I don't want people to be ashamed to go get the help and or to figure out some of the answers that we may not have had due to this new circumstance or a new circumstance in life.
Also,
it's all transferable.
Also, in the money game, those kids were hustling. So go out there, get your hustle on, and get your bread. So
they're making us wake up and talk about it for sure. So right. I appreciate that.
So, keep tuning in, and until next time,
we're out.
Thank you for spending some of your time with us today.
We appreciate all of your support. So be sure to subscribe, rate, and review us wherever you listen to this podcast.
You can find us on Instagram at For Better and Worth.
And sign up to receive our free guide, The 7 Reasons Your Money Relationship Isn't Working with Your Partner, on forbetterandworth.com.
Until next time, we're out of here.